They have team comms?
Yes, they do.
Wanted to talk about, and it was something that the rest of the teams were aware of. He has a smaller champion pool, and he didn't necessarily show as much pressure as what some of the others wanted. And so with this now change, they're hoping Mississippi State Bulldogs that they can show a little bit more pressure and hopefully be a little bit more proactive in the earlier stages of the game.
So let's hop right on into the draft while we talk about Georgia Tech on the opposite side. They proved as they were working their way into the tournament that they're more than just the name. We were worried about the fact that they only had one returning member on the roster, Asian Devil, one of their star players from last year, now becoming a coach, and maybe they were just living on the fact that they did kind of get far in the ULaw Southern bracket, but it turns out no, they're not, and they top their group, and they're showing why they're here.
And a huge piece of that is in the powers of the laners that they have. Jupes a Kid, we talked a lot about YG for the side of Texas A&M, but it's definitely Jupes a Kid that is the muscle flexor for Georgia Tech. The muscle flexor for Georgia Tech. He soloed every laner that he played against in the map, and for all intents and purposes, the jungler and the rest of the team just left him alone and said, you know what, this is you. This is your island. Do whatever it is you need to do. We are confident in Jupesa and what he can perform.
That's right. We'll get to see if Biofrost will be the muscle relaxant the Jupesa Kid as we get into picks and bans. Darius, Lulu, and J4 taken away by Georgia Tech. Mississippi State having Rise, Riven, and Sejuani. And the first pick, the priority pick, heading on over to Georgia Tech is Caitlyn. Not a jungler, not maybe a Xayah or Rakan.
This immediately tells me that they're wanting to get Psyche in something not only comfortable in the team fights, but more importantly, something that they can have to win the lanes. When I talked to Asian Devil and I said, what are you going to do today against Mississippi State Bulldogs? And he said, we are going to win the lanes. And so Caitlyn definitely brings that to the table as opposed to going for something like a Rakan. But I don't know about you, but we got a little bit of some different looks here from Mississippi State.
Yeah, they're going with a Morgana early first pick here. Not necessarily something that gets first pick. We saw it last game be a successful counter pick to Rakan, and Rakan's engages with her spell shield. And a misfortune, so the first time we're seeing a new AD carry enter the fray.
So now the real question is, Degon, is this going to be a Morgana mid and still have the possibility for a misfortune support? Because that is an option.
That is an option.
And when you talk about options in Mississippi State, the conventional options do not apply to this team. In the group stage yesterday, they actually played a Teemo in the top lane, somebody that Biofrost is quite familiar with. And so as a result, pretty much anything goes. And so I'm not gonna lock things out immediately as we see an Ord.
No, they're teasing. Stone G's a troll. Stone G, very solid player, but definitely a troll, one of the outspoken mouthpieces for Mississippi State. Teemo could be the pick, though, in the top lane, and they're going to go with the Gnar and play standard. So Gnar heading over to the top side of the map.
Yeah, they're just going to be safe. They're going to be simple.
They messed with us pretty well. That was good.
They are indeed. And so you take a look at what you have for Georgia Tech as they're flipping through the second ban phase. You have the Gragas, very powerful. You have the Nami as well. Duji Boy, not a support that is used to playing the Ardents as much. He generally flows for somebody like Tarek, Braum, Alistar we saw yesterday as a very powerful pick. But the Nami, this is, again, going with the consistent strategy of we want to win the lane. Caitlyn Nami is one of the strongest laning combinations as far as range poke and just out-bullying you in the lane, especially with Lulu banned off the table. And so now, as the second ban phase is there, you're starting to see that top lane presence make sure that Biofrost has a favorable matchup. But just like we saw in the game of Georgia Tech that we casted with them yesterday, you cannot ban out Jupesa Kid.
No, you cannot. They did leave up the Renekton, which we did see Jupesa Kid kind of blow up on, but Gnar with the range would be able to play around the Renekton, so a solid pick here for Biofrost so far. And the next pick will be telltale of, do they want to go with their AD carry? Do they want to go with their jungler? Oh, and it's going to be an Olaf hover. We'll wait till they lock this in.
Yeah.
All right, and it's locked in. So now this was the reason why the substitute was made. B-Friend is one of the top junglers, Olaf junglers in the nation. So with that, they've shown their hand, and now how does Georgia Tech respond? Azir being picked up in the mid lane again, just a strong champion for Purge the Innocent.
Yep, so they're going to go ahead and pick out what they want. If they decide to go for this talent, I really like this a lot, actually, because he's going to be able to have that opportunity to snowball. And again, going with those strong laners. And the Talon Gnar matchup actually works fairly well because Talon has the opportunity, the ability to blink to Gnar. He's not going to be able to, run away as quickly as possible. And so that final pick now for Mississippi State. Digon, this is not.
There's a lot that this could be. I don't know what's happening.
This is not the first series. This is not the.
It is.
This is not the conventional pick ban phase that I usually enjoy trying to predict, because right now it's pretty much the flip of a coin and the roll of a dice of what these guys are picking.
All right, so Galio will be the final lock-in here for Stone G. And it seems like it's protect Danny Cutebody. He was one of the main members that we saw Mississippi State build around before. But with Bfriend playing an aggressive jungler, again, we talked about where the tank's coming from. Now, Mississippi State moves their tank players into the mid lane and top lane. You have a pseudo tank and Gnar fighter, if you will. He goes into Mega Gnar and can be tanky. We'll be watching to see how Bfriend and Danny Cutebody roam around and work around with Biofrost and Stone G.
I wouldn't be surprised if Stone G actually decides to split build a little bit of AP here, because they do not have a solid AP threat. The general Galio build, where he's building very tanky, has a little bit of damage, but it's not something that's too off the mark. And so as a result, Mississippi State, they've got opportunity. They have a very strong team fight. Lots of lockup. You've got the ability to run to the back line with that Ragnarok ability available from, Bfriend and that Olaf. But what is Georgia Tech doing, man?
Georgia Tech is playing straight up, and they said, hey, man, we want to win lanes. If Mississippi State says, hey, you want to play something not so standard, we'll meet you.
So this is the potential difficulty for Georgia Tech. Winning the lane phase, having strong lanes is fantastic.
Yeah.
And obviously, with this power picks that they've chosen, something like a Talon, something like a Caitlyn and a Azir, when those champions are ahead, they're terrifying.
Yeah.
But when they're behind, it's painstaking to watch, and it's even more painstaking to play as.
Yeah.
And that's where Mississippi State is going to look to take control. Because if they can remain even, if they can somehow edge over the top with this Olaf pick and his early aggression and damage that he does provide, there is a great opportunity for Mississippi State to keep the members of Georgia Tech down, which would allow their team fight composition to really scale up and come off the mark.
We'll get to see whose picks and bans will work out for which team when we come back. Game 1 of Series 2, the semifinals. Who's going to play Texas A&M? Will it be Georgia Tech or will it be Mississippi State? We'll find out in just a couple minutes. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 1 of Series 2, Georgia Tech versus Mississippi State, to figure out who's heading over to the finals of the 10-gig Collegiate Invitational. Nothing left to do except to run down the rosters. On the blue side, it's Georgia Tech in the top lane, Jupes a Kid at jungle, Dragon in the mid lane, Purge the Innocent, AD carry, Psych, and at support, Doogie Boy.
And for the nice little switch up here for the Mississippi State Bulldogs, it's going to be Biofrost in the top lane, EB Friend in the jungle, Stone G in the mid, Danny Cutebody in bot, and Penguin as his support.
Young George Crook.
Young George Crook.
Getting his play at support. So we'll get to see if the switch pays off. So B-Friend is a crux to this composition, this team fighting composition here for Mississippi State. Danny Cutebody was one of the members that they hope to play around, though.
And Danny Cutebody's positioning was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
In the group stage, it was definitely his bread and butter. But what I'm more interested in than any of the storylines that we saw is, what is this Olaf pick going to do? Olaf is a jungler that has bounced back and forth between the meta for quite a while. In Season 7, both Spring and Summer Split, one of the only junglers to bring it out in North American LCS was Reignover. And that's only because of just his sheer prowess on the champion. Now, as someone who is revered as maybe not Reignover's level of skill, but comparatively to the other junglers that he's going to be facing against, that power, prowess, and knowledge of Olaf is going to be really important for him, because early pressure, Olaf is amazing. He's got the ability to have a lot of early base damage. He's got the true damage in his E, but more importantly, it is his ability to stick to opponents when he does decide to gank those lanes.
Yeah, we had a quick mouse issue for one of the players, so we're able to solve that one and get ourselves back into the game. But yeah, Olaf going to be a staple for Mississippi State. On the other side, got to talk about the talent pick for Jupes a Kid. And if there is a player to carry for Georgia Tech, well, all players on that team have shown propensity to do so. Jupes a Kid is one of the guys to do it.
Now, not only does Jupes a Kid go for the talent tech, Teleport is the meta Summoner's ability to use in the top side, but in one, the kills he wants to get there. The plant was used, and Dragon, if he recognizes that was gone, is there. So B-Friend's going to have to back away.
Oh, there's a massive rotation. Flash forward by Dragon means B-Friend's in a little bit of trouble. Purge the Innocent gets to the river first before Stone G can, but Stone G is able to help out his buddy and get away. B-Friend forced to burn Flash, but overall, not too bad.
No, he doesn't. And Jupes a Kid was going to rotate around. Biofrost, stop that one in its tracks. But all the rather, EB Friend does end up having to pop his own Ghost, as a result, is only just now going for his first buff. Doesn't have any mana, but he's still going to be able to keep up an XP from Dragon. But however,
now, Dragon had to use Flash in that last one. He thought the rotation coming out of Purge the Innocent first would create a 2v1 situation, but Stone G was right there immediately.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Georgia Tech as well, Jupes a Kid is keeping this wave pushed up a little bit. The minions were pushing in his favor when he decided to try and roam down to help out his teammate. And so with it pushed up, Dragon's not actually going to be able to do any sort of successful gank. And so what seemed like a Mississippi State failure in trying to counter jungle a little bit, it's still going to be quite in their favor, because B-Friend is going to be able to do that nice little rotation across the map, and the wave in the bot side is in a fairly solid condition, possibly Penguin hitting himself a Dark Binding, and them going in and trying to get themselves a first blood kill.
Yeah, B-Friend with both the red and blue buffs will heal up and get mana, and it leaves an opportunity there for him to counter jungle, because he knows on the top side Dragon didn't do too much.
Although I'm fairly disappointed in EB Friend, because this is a collegiate invitational and you're not playing Broloff.
Maybe he felt like he was too close to home, so instead, Dragon gonna head to the top side of the map, force the flash out of Biofrost, so successful rotation there out of the Georgia Tech jungle. However, B-Friend is forcing him to pay by taking away the Raptors.
And Biofrost's flash is blown, and so now Dragon is going to be able to do a repeat gank if he so chooses, but this is what we were talking about. B-Friend floating on the bottom side of the map. He was able to get that level 4. No, he's not level 4. Still level 3, but he's got plenty of points of what he needs. Dark Binding misses.
The Dark Binding does miss. The rest of his team needs to step up because B-Friend is now there. Doojibo forced to flash away. The Black Shield keeping everyone safe. The red buff is down. Psych wants to work his way out without using flash. Nice 3-man bubble will slow the aggression all the while in the mid lane.
Hello?
Purge the Innocent, purges Stone G. I guess he's guilty. Down he goes.
That was very unfortunate for EB Friend because he stepped on the spell shield, Penguin spell shielded EB Friend after he ended up stepping on the trap. And so as a result, he didn't end up actually getting anything, as now Stone G teleports himself to a minion, tries to get some extra pressure on to Purge the Innocent, but he just died there.
That was weird. I mean, and that is one of the things, by putting Galio in the mid lane, you shouldn't be dying as a tank. You know that you're not going to be dealing a lot of damage, so why are you putting yourself in a position where you are taking damage? So Purge the Innocent maybe playing on Azir. It's not as familiar recently with the new changes that happened to Galio at the beginning of the season, and Azir falling out of meta. Maybe that's just a matchup that Stone G wasn't comfortable with, but this is one of the players that is confident, and he plays off of confidence, so Stone G is going to have to shake it off and figure it out quickly.
He is, and the difficult part for him is that Purge the Innocent went back immediately and bought himself a Stinger, and so in these situations, specifically with this ranged versus melee matchup and the current buffs that Azir has had, that auto attack damage, while you are known to be a anti-AP champion in Stone G, those auto attacks from the Sand Soldiers, those spears will hurt. He might be hitting a Stone Golem, but sooner or later, those spears will end up piercing through.
So Mississippi State now needs to figure out how they want to get back in it. This Olaf pick did blow some summoners on the bottom side of the map, but hasn't had too much of an impact quite yet. He does fall off later on, again, with no way to get into the fight. So Mississippi State will need to figure out how to play around the major objectives where they know Georgia Tech is going to be, so that B-Friend can pay off. As we see another trade, Stone G going in, but he doesn't have the damage to fully accept that. So anytime he goes in, he does a rotation of his spells, but then gets auto attacked down as he tries to leave. So that's just a little trade mechanic that we want to watch as we take a look at the mid lane.
And so now we're starting to see the common Olaf trends, rushing those Boots of Lucidity, having the cooldown reduction on that axe toss is going to be very important. Undertow, is that what it is?
Undertow.
It is Undertow.
Correct.
Yeah, +1 for me today. Does that count?
Sure.
7 minutes into this game, you're still having you had a 300 goal difference, essentially near negligible. And what's really important is of EB Friend's dedication to not only that first gank, but rushing that level 6. Having Ragnarok available is extremely important because he's going to be able to push through and help out. And just as I say that, red buff is spawning, and EB Friend wants to try to do his best to make sure that he can get a little bit of extra vision and knowledge of where Dragon, because Dragon's flash is right back up. That is a timer that Mississippi State does have available, so they're going to know that flash body slam is ready to go if they need to.
Dad?